So I had a good reading day and I got caught up and a little bit ahead. So I'm hoping to keep that momentum going and actually read 7 books in 7 days. So today's challenge is make a school reading list, and there's 6 books total, and 3 books are with female protagonist and 3 are with male, and 1 is nonfiction. So I decided that the to be read from this year's BookTubeAthon that would be on this school reading list is Juniper Lemon's Happiness Index, which I am so shocked and surprised at how much I loved it. I shouldn't be, but it's not usually a book that I would pick up on my own, you know? Like, I had it recommended to me. It was this unofficial BookTubeAthon book that not everyone, but I decided to, hey, okay, I'll read that as my hyped book. And it was great. So that is the basis for this reading list. And I imagine this reading list would be good for sophomore year high school honors class. And so starting with Juniper Lemon's Happiness Index. And it's centered on grief and how someone deals with that. So the next is kind of a classic. I personally read it my junior year, but I really think that a grief kind of geared book list would go well in sophomore year as well. So Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. So yeah, so seeing how that affected him. And yeah, so this isn't just a list about grieving human deaths, it's also about animals. The next book is A Mango-Shaped Space by Wendy, and I read that sometime in high school myself. I can't remember if it was a summer reading assignment or if I just thought it looked like a good read based on the cover. We all know we're guilty of that. But and this deals with first the loss of her grandfather, and then later I'll let you read it. But it was a really good book, and she's a synesthete, and synesthesia has different connections for different types of synesthetes, but she will see numbers and letters as colors, so she has problems with math as well. And it's not so focused on her grief as much as it was like Juniper Lemon or Catcher in the Rye, but it still deals with, here's his life and now it's not there. So it's a good book. The next book is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. It's an interesting perspective of this death and the grieving process, because you're reading it and you're seeing what's happening through the eyes of the girl who was murdered. So it's very different than the other ones where it was an accident or it was a natural cause. And the next one I personally haven't read, but it is now on my to be read list. I was looking for another male character I was looking for another book with a male main protagonist. So next book is Personal Effects by E.M. Kokie, and it looks spectacular. Obviously sad. These are all sad as they deal with grief. But so the main protagonist, his older brother dies in Iraq. This is all stuff you can find on the Goodreads page for it, but it looks really good. So every book about grief is going to be different. The way the protagonist handles their grief, what happened, but it's all in that human experience of they were here and now they're not. And the last book is Marley and Me, and that's really sad. And this is the nonfiction that's on the list, is Marley and Me by John Grogan. It's this life that was there and they had a great time, and how are they gonna cope without it? And this was by writing a book, and I think that's beautiful. I had a really bad experience my high school sophomore year, and I had a really rough time. I had transferred schools. I had went to a school for a year and a semester, and then I transferred, and my first day at my new school, first time in public school, was my birthday, my 16th birthday. So it was a rough year, and my English teacher was not so great, and I felt like everyone hated me, and then I was stressed with outside of school stuff that I had to do for, yeah. But, and I feel like everything I had learned in English was no longer applying, and it was a very confusing year for me, and then my cat died. And it was very, very rough. And trying to just write these papers, I didn't want to. I didn't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to do schoolwork. I know it's not a human life, and I have experienced loss. I wasn't particularly, not that I wasn't close to them, but it just wasn't the same bond that I had with them. So, but yeah, so I think this is a very nice way of reading how other people experience their grief, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, male protagonist, female protagonist, um, dealing with the loss of a family member or a pet. So that's my school reading list for a sophomore year honors class. It could be a junior year honors class. The Lovely Bones is kind of a little darker territory, but yeah, it would make a very good sophomore year reading list. And I just wish we had, because 1984 and Animal Farm and Succession that year was brutal. I had nightmares. I think I might have had a better time reading these books than reading that. So that's the reading list. And I hope you enjoyed. And good luck with BookTubeAthon and the next 2 days and reading and future endeavors. And I look forward to making more videos once BookTubeAthon's over and yeah, being a part of all your lives. So